What's up, everyone? I'm Brian, and today I am going to talk about a topic that in the exotic car community is practically a given, but in the Jeep community can be considered faux pas, and that is paint protection film. So, tomorrow, my Jeep is going to go in for full coverage paint protection film, front to back, on all of the gloss black paint surfaces. And I know there's a segment of the Jeep population that's basically like, why would you do that? It is a giant waste of money. Scrapes and dings can build character and remind you of the great fun that you've had. And I actually do think there is some merit to those arguments. So I'm going to explain why I am actually going to do this to my Jeep, and at the end of the day, the reality is it's my money, it's my personal preference, and I can do what I want with it and still understand that there are people that would not do the same, and that's perfectly fine. So, when it comes to paint protection film, I have had a lot of sports cars over the years, and generally speaking, I have not used it. I've purchased used cars that have had plenty of bumper rash from little pebbles and rocks that have hit it, and it's never bothered me. I've had Porsche 911s and BMWs, and they've all had this trait, and I just wash it off and I don't overthink it. When I purchased my McLaren 12C, it had already had paint protection film on it. It was starting to yellow, and I did this wrap, so I basically pulled the paint protection film and replaced it prior to adding the vinyl wrap on top. And part of the reason I did that is the paint protection film from before actually did an excellent job of protecting the paint from new. So I basically had what looked like a new McLaren, and by applying a new coat of paint protection film, I was able to keep it that way. And it is really effective at what it's for. It's for protecting the paint. It actually does that incredibly well. Whether you use the high quality films, SunTech or Expel, they all offer a level of protection that is very significant versus just driving bare. Here's the twist. So, when I bought the Jeep, I had no intention of purchasing paint protection film for this. I thought, similar to a lot of people out there, it's a Jeep, we're taking it off-road. It's going to get dents and dings, and that's okay. Until I went off-roading with my buddy Patrick at Hollister, and he told me that his Jeep Gladiator has full paint protection film because as we were going through shrubbery, it was picking up pinstripes. The bushes were basically scraping the side of the car, and I realized if I do this basically regularly, I'm going to end up with just an entire side of my car pinstriped with little fine lines because I don't have paint protection film. So all of the little bushes that can pinstripe the car really were the initial motivation for deciding this is something that I was interested in. Finding out my buddy that I was wheeling with actually had this paint protection film just added on to the interest. And then really what kind of puts it over the top is my car is black. If you've ever had a black car, they are impossible to take care of, impossible to keep clean, impossible to actually maintain long term. I generally buy silver cars for daily driver use because silver is such a forgiving color. I have a Porsche Cayenne, it's sitting right there. I have no paint protection film on it. I park it outside. I generally do not care. However, I also have a black Audi Q5 that does not have paint protection film, and after many years, the paint is just looking shot. The clear coat looks messed up. There's all these fine scratches, and I tried to keep it clean, but it just requires a lot of maintenance to keep black looking nice. So if I can paint protect my Jeep and have it looking nice long term, and have it avoid pinstripes, it's like, isn't that the actual purpose of paint protection film? I'm gonna get so much more utility out of putting paint protection film on my Jeep than I will ever get out of it being on my well cared for garage McLaren that gets barely any use. So I am really excited to do this. And the other big thing about this is the cost. It is not cheap. I don't want to really get into pricing because pricing is going to vary depending on your area, specifically labor rates. I mean, it's labor that really drives the cost of this. But the big thing I will say is you really want to find an installer that you trust because it's all about the install. And you want to find someone that's going to work with you on exactly what you want, because if you ask for everything in the kitchen sink, it's going to be expensive. As an example, I've got a lot of armor on this car. If they pull the armor off just to put paint protection film underneath and put the armor back on, it adds zero value from a paint protection perspective, but it costs an arm and a leg in labor to take off, install, and put back the armor. So I found a shop. It's actually through friends of friends. Shout out to Zoeb and Goshan. This is Elite Auto Films out of Fremont. They have a shop in San Jose. They're opening a new shop in Fremont in the Bay Area. And I went over the car with both of them and we talked about all the different services, the exact coverage and protection that I'm gonna get. And we basically came to a mutual agreement on what makes sense to make this film be functional, but also keep the total cost of the install down. And I can say going into this, it hasn't been done yet. I'm gonna drop the car off tomorrow, but I'm so excited to get this done. And I'm really happy with basically what we've agreed to. So this is the before. You can check out the footage. You know, this car lives outside. It is not clean, so we'll see up close that it's dirty. It's gonna get dirty, but with paint protection film on it, it's basically gonna protect the actual paint for the long term, and that's what I'm after here. So let's get some close-ups and then let's see the after. What's up, everyone? I have gotten the Jeep back from the wrap shop. The full body paint protection film has been installed on all of the gloss black paint surfaces, and it's kind of interesting because it's actually kind of hard to show off paint protection film that's been installed. Really, there's nothing to show beyond effectively a clean car. It's been a couple of days, the car has lived outside, and the one thing I'll say is today at work, a coworker actually came up to me. It's the first time he saw my car, and he was complimenting me on how amazing it actually looked. He said, the black paint has no swirls in it whatsoever. It's just so clean. And that's actually one of the things about this. So the first thing I did is I had them paint correct the entire car before they applied the paint protection film. So that got the paint looking brand new, absolutely beautiful, as if it came off the showroom floor. I would say even better than that. And then they put the paint protection film over that, and that's basically going to protect it this way for a long time to come. The one thing I will say that's kind of funny, interestingly enough, is that actually in Zoeb lending me his black Ford Bronco, it was more illustrative of the types of issues I'm trying to avoid with all of the swirls and pinstripes that he had in the paint on that car. So have a look at this and compare it to how nice my car looks and the fact that I can expect my car to look this nice going forward versus potentially having ended up looking like this Bronco did. One thing that is kind of noticeable that I can point out, the Rubicon graphic on the hood is actually custom. It's got some topographical maps that to me are a throwback to my McLaren. So I specifically told them not to remove it and try to reapply it. I wasn't going to be able to source these graphics again. So I told them just go ahead and put the paint protection film over it. It was already starting to lift in some areas. I really wasn't sure how good it was gonna look. I thought it might bubble. It actually looks amazing. It looks even better than it did before. It looks like the graphic is just like encased in this thing, kind of like a trading card that's been, covered in a protective sleeve to make it last forever. It looks really, really good. The whole car looks really, really good. It's impossible to take care of black, and now it should be really easy for me to leave this outside, to clean it up with maybe waterless wash and a microfiber towel when I need to, and have it look nice for the long term, which is really what I was after. So I couldn't be more happy with this outcome. Thanks again to Zoeb, Joon, Goshan, and Matheus for taking care of me. And I think that's all I've got for this one, so thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you at the next one soon.